Have you ever experienced the anticipation of waiting for a package to arrive or going to pick up an item that you had seen online and loved only to be met with disappointment? Well, that happened to me with this coffee table. I saw it on Facebook Marketplace and I absolutely loved it. I went to go pick it up and the color was much darker than I thought. And then also there was a big scuff on the back and some scratches that had been conveniently left out of the pictures. But I had driven all the way across town and I needed a coffee table, and it did have a lot of potential. I loved the size and all the detail on this coffee table, and it was only $50, so I thought, oh, I'm just gonna get it and I will fix it up. Well, here we are 4 years later and it has not been fixed up yet. So today is the day we are going to flip this coffee table. So the first thing that we need to do is sand it down. So I took it outside and I began to sand it down. I took off the top layer of stain. It came off fairly easily. However, you could see the wood grain in some areas and you couldn't in others. Another thing I had to be really careful of was not to sand down all of the beautiful details that were on there. I loved those leaves and the flowers, so I didn't apply too much pressure with the sander in those areas. It didn't take me very long to sand down this table, and because we're going to be painting it, a rough sanding worked just fine. Now that it's all sanded, we need to remove the dust and debris. So I got some crud cutter and a rag. I washed it clean. I wiped off all the excess wood particles. Once I wiped down the entire coffee table, I made sure it was 100% dry before painting. The paint that we are going to be using is my absolute favorite paint. I have used it in so many projects in my home. And it is a Behr paint in a cabinet grade. Now this paint is a little more expensive. It's around $53 a gallon, which is pretty pricey. However, it is a very durable paint. And at this point, it's like a warm blanket. I know that it works well, so I'm just gonna continue to keep using it. And the color that this paint is Polar Bear. We're gonna start by painting the bottom of the coffee table, and I'm going to be using my paint sprayer. I love using this paint sprayer because it gives me a professional finish, and using a paint sprayer goes really fast, much faster than using a paintbrush. Once my first coat of paint was on, I let it dry for several hours. Once it was dry, I sanded it down with a fine grit sanding sponge. I actually purchased these over in the drywall section of the hardware store. I love the fine grit on these. It makes everything smooth without sanding off the paint. Once it was sanded, I sprayed a second coat on the underside of my table. After a few hours of dry time, I flipped it over and I sprayed the top part of the coffee table. I made sure that the entire coffee table was coated. I painted on a total of 3 coats of paint on the top, sanding down between each coat. That way I have a smooth finish. Once the third and final coat had been painted onto my coffee table, I let it dry overnight. This coffee table has a glass insert, so all I needed to do was pop that right back into the center. So here we are 4 years later and it's finally painted. It's completed and I love the way that it looks. It's a neutral piece. It's a great backdrop that disappears in this room and makes the items on top shine. Everything is so much lighter and brighter, and all of the scuffs and chips and scratches have been sanded down and painted over. This coffee table looks brand new. This was a relatively easy process to flip this coffee table, and I'm overjoyed with the way that it looks in this room. Now that our coffee table is done, let's style it. I have a whole bunch of ways that you can style this coffee table, different seasons and different styles. It's Christmas time right now, so we're gonna do a display for this season. What I'm going to do is borrow some things from my foyer. I have a lantern. These lanterns are filled with frosty snow and battery-operated candles. I place one of them on top of a sleigh, and then I have white cone Christmas trees that I'm going to place around them as well. And then I also have a beautiful fabric that softens this display and ties in with my color scheme.
show you how I displayed all of my things on my coffee table. So I'm gonna scoot back a little bit. All right, so I'm over here by the coffee table and I'm gonna talk about what is on it. We'll start off with these pretty velvet pumpkins with the gold stem. I purchased these at Bell's. They just look so elegant with that fabric, and I love the gold curly stems. They're so pretty. Next to my pumpkins, I have this gorgeous blue and white ginger jar. It is absolutely huge. Can you guess where I got it? If you guessed Home Goods, you're right. I purchased this a couple weeks back and it was $69.99, which is a little bit of a splurge, but if you were to buy this anywhere else, online or at a different store, it would be 2 to 3 times that price. So if you can find ginger jars at Home Goods, scoop them up because they really are affordable comparatively to other places that you can buy them. So next to that, I have, of course, our beautiful white ginger jar with the gold stripe. And then to the side, I have some pretty little navy blue pumpkins. I got these at Target, and again, I painted the stems gold to match my other pumpkins. And of course, down in the front, center stage, we have our beautiful fall swag. I love the way this looks. It ties in all of the colors. It is a neutral piece, and for the price, I think it looks fantastic. This coffee table display is a classic and timeless way to decorate for fall.
All you glam lovers, this design is for you. I'll start off with a rectangular tray that has a classic marble design in gold trim. This tray is a timeless piece that can be incorporated into a variety of different decor and design styles. On top of my tray, I'm adding a mirrored box. The rectangular shape reinforces the rectangular tray. It's also a pretty storage solution for all of those remotes we have. The mirror is a great way to add sparkle and reflect all of our beautiful glam pieces. It also reflects light, which brightens up our design. Next, I'm adding a glass vase filled with bright peachy pink flowers. The flowers add a pop of color to my neutral decor. The tall flowers also add height. Height variation is a key component to add flow to a design. For instance, I'm placing this picture on top of my box instead of next to it. That way you can see it better and it's more prominent. Adding touches like pictures is also a great way to personalize your design. To coordinate my crystal frame, I'm adding a cut crystal votive candle holder. The crystal frame and the crystal votive candle holder tie in with the glam theme. And the candlelight is a warm glow that bounces off the crystal and mirrored box. I love using trays in my designs because it is a beautiful backdrop for all the items that you can put on top. I have a variety of trays out right now. I've got 5 of them. And I'm going to give you 5 different ways you can style these trays. Our first tray is this antiqued brass tray. I love this size. It's really large. A tray this large would be fantastic on a buffet or on a large dining table. The first thing that we're going to add to our tray is this marble hexagonal tray. Now you can call this a cutting board or a marble slab, but we're just gonna call these marble pieces a tray today. So I'm gonna put this marble on one side. Adding the marble like this breaks up all the brass and gives us a base to put our candle holder on. This candle holder is so pretty. It's got an intricate design on it, so I'll place that on top, and then I have this candle, and it's more of a brass, kind of copper on the outside, and I love how it coordinates with the gold brass tray. I have a trio of ginger jars that we're going to place on this side of the tray. I'm going to stagger them and arrange them by height. I like to use odd numbers when I decorate, so I have a set of 3. And these jars are fantastic because they also have an intricate detail that coordinates with the detail that's on my candle holder. To break up all of this white, I'm going to be adding a wooden tassel. I like adding tassels to my jars or to my displays because it's just another really pretty element that you can add. And by adding this more natural beaded garland to this ginger jar, it makes this display feel a little more casual because of the burlap tassels at the bottom. So it tones down the formality. Also, one other tip is that you can always use the lid of a candle as a decorative detail. You can just place it off to the side. I love how this lid coordinates so beautifully with the color of the tray. Our next tray is this mirrored tray. I love using mirrored trays because they are reflective and they add a little bit of sparkle and shine to your display. The first element that we're going to add is a floral arrangement. Adding natural elements like small potted plants, succulents, or a collection of seashells. These bring a touch of freshness and a connection to nature. The container is also really unique. It looks like coral. I think it's just so pretty. Okay, so next we are going to be using plates. Now, plates are a great way to display your collectibles. If you have a set of plates that you really just want to display, putting them on a tray is a fabulous way to do it. So what I'm going to do is get a frame holder. I'm going to put it on my tray, and then I can just tuck my plate right into the frame holder. The next plate that we're going to be using is a smaller plate. It has a decorative gold rim around the edges. I'm going to put that right down in the front, and on top of that, I'm going to add a candle. Now, just like this display and its tassel garland, I'm going to add a tassel garland to this display. However, the difference is that this is a glass beaded garland, so it's going to give it a more classic and timeless feel as opposed to a more casual feel on this tray. So I'm just going to wrap it around my candle right here in the front and let it hang over the edge. Now we are all finished with this display. I love the way that the mirrored tray reflects all of the items that we have on it. I also have a mirrored tray in my formal living area. You can see the chandelier above, and it also reflects the beautiful florals in that arrangement. This one is one of my favorites. Look at how beautiful this one is. It's got these gorgeous metal leaves. The detailing on them is so pretty, and I love this gold color. And what we're going to do is add a marble circle to the center of this tray. Adding this marble slab is going to give this tray stability, so when we put our glass jars on it, it's not going to tip anywhere. I have a few glass jars that I have filled up with some yummy snacks. Using glass jars on a tiered tray is fantastic because it adds some sparkle. The glass mixed with the marble and the metal add a unique design touch by mixing and matching these elements. Okay, to the front of my tray, I have some monogrammed cocktail napkins I'm going to add on one side, and then a monogrammed spoon I'm going to add to the other. This display would be beautiful on a buffet for a party. It would be so pretty to have on an island in your kitchen or on the center of a table. Marble trays are some of my favorite pieces to work with. Nothing is quite as classy as marble. So we're going to keep this display classy and elegant. So we have our square marble tray, and to the center, we're going to add this scalloped plate with a gold edge. I'm going to place that right in the center. And then we're going to layer. So I'm going to get another plate. It's the same plate that we have right here. I have two of them. So this is going to be layered right on top. These match so beautifully. They both have this gold trim around it. And to the center, I have this cut glass candy dish. Now, we are not going to use it for candy today. Instead, I have a candle inside. I'm going to place it right in the center, and we are done. Look at how beautiful this display is. It's classic, timeless, and how easy was that to put together? It was a piece of cake. Do you guys remember this tray that we found at the thrift store a couple weeks back? We repainted it and decoupaged some blue and white flowers on it. This tray is such a pretty tray,
And it is the perfect backdrop for us to add some seasonal accessories to it. So the first thing that we're going to do is add a stem of leaves. On top of our leaves, we're going to add a large plush velvet pumpkin. The ribbon around the stem is so pretty and it themes us into fall fantastically. To the back, we're adding a large ginger jar, and I added a stem of leaves and berries to the top. And then in front, we're going to place some pumpkins and an acorn. Using small objects like these little accessories or a small figurine or even a little trinket box is the way that you can add personality to your tray. These objects can be curated based on your personal taste or a specific theme and can be switched out for different seasons. Decorating with trays is an easy, simple, and affordable way to add a high-end look to your home. Florals and greenery are a great way to bring in color and add in a fresh, vibrant feel. I just got a glass container, I filled it up with rocks, and then I got some mini milk bottles. And I love it because it has a gold stripe at the bottom, which really adds to the aesthetic that I'm going for. And then I got a few Dollar Tree succulents. I placed a few in between the rocks. I put one in each of the mini milk bottles, and I think it looks so great. My reflective element is going to be these circular orbs. Because these orbs are glass, they add substance, but you can still see through them, so they're light and airy. The tan rope wrapped around them has a macrame feel, which fits in perfectly with the boho theme and stays in line with the neutral color palette. Next up are these gold geometric votive candle holders. These are a great filler element. They're small and low enough to add interest, but they don't take away from the more prominent decor pieces. Instead of adding candles, I'm going to treat these like a vase and add in some more succulents, which will tie my design together. I'm adding a faux fur throw blanket first. This will add a cozy rustic base to my design while also protecting my ottoman. Next up, a round wood tray. It looks like it was sliced right off a tree stump. The bark around the perimeter of the tray adds a rustic, woodsy element. I have used these galvanized lanterns in so many of my seasonal decorating designs. The galvanized metal fits in perfectly with my rustic theme. I have 2 of these lanterns in different sizes, which again adds variety to my design. I also added in some battery-operated flicker flame candles for light and ambiance. Height variation is key to a great design. This feather and fir branch and pine cone arrangement will do just that. The tall branches bring your eye up, and the color and texture of the natural elements add in a soft color palette. Books are another great item to add to a coffee table. You can add height by stacking them, and the book cover itself can add color. In this example, I'm using a book about rustic cabins to reinforce my theme.
You can do a minimalistic display. You can keep it simple with only a few items.
One decorative item can look just as beautiful as a table full of decor. This stunning orchid arrangement doesn't need to compete with anything else. It's a showstopper on its own. It also is a large piece that fits the table nicely. However, if you're going for a more streamlined, contemporary look, a low, small, single piece is the way to go.
Natural elements are one of my favorite things to add to coffee tables. Flowers, plants, a bowl of decorative stones. You can switch out the floral arrangements for different seasons or change them for a different color scheme you're going for in the room. Remember to choose items that reflect your overall aesthetic and design sense on your coffee table. I hope you enjoyed this coffee table flip and all of the ideas to help you decorate your coffee table. Remember that you can live beautifully every single day and you can do it on a budget. If you like this video and want to see more like it, I would love to have you subscribe so I can share those with you. Thank you so much for watching.